This video is going to be very offensive and extremely racist. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. Welcome to the Pen and the Shank, where I talk about everything crime and prison related, and I share my brutal, raw, real, and uncut experiences from prison. The stories I tell are things that I've experienced, seen, heard, or am familiar with inside the prison system. The story that I'm about to tell, I personally saw and heard with my own eyes and ears. It was probably, if I have to recollect, the most racist conversation I've ever heard in all the years I've done in prison. 10 years. Even going back to juvenile. It's probably the most undoubtedly racist conversation I ever heard. And it was between an old white convict and an old black convict. Both of them had done time in Angola back in the 70s and 80s. Both of them had at least 20 years of prison in Angola underneath their belts. They had gotten out and they were back in jail. And that's where our story starts. Inside the dormitory of a satellite camp with two old convicts derogatorily down on each other's ethnicity and women. They both were standing in front of a locker and they were actually trading shot books. If you don't know what a shot book is, it's a nudity magazine. They call them shot books, not Playboys. Basically, it's Playboy magazines of any kind, but they call them shot books. So they had a stack of shot books, and the white convict was walking by the black convict's locker, and he knew the black convict, like I said before, from Angola. They had done time together, and they were familiar with each other. They used to drink coffee together, play cards together, smoke dope together. They probably shot dope together in Angola back in the 80s. So the white convict was walking by and the black convict was looking at his shot book. And it was one of those shot books that has a bunch of, derogatory images of women, black women. It was, they have black shot books where it's called like Black Tales or Black Freaks or something like that. And he was looking at it and he said, "Oh man, let me see that." The white convict told the black convict, and the black convict, and I was standing right there. That's how I happened to just eavesdrop and hear this whole conversation. The black convict looked at the white convict, and I ain't gonna give their names. We're gonna call the white convict Al, and we're gonna call the black convict Jim, right? So Al told Jim, "Man, what you looking at?" And Jim said, "Man, I'm looking at these fine black sisters, bruh. Look at that. You wish a snow bunny could look like that." And the white dude who he was walking by, he had his shot books, and he opened the shot book and he opened it up to the page where there was a white female with her, her legs spread wide open, because that's what's inside these magazines. And Al tells Jim, "You see that?" Jim looks, and Al says, "Man, it sure is pretty, isn't it?" And I'm sitting there, I'm looking, and Al says, "Man, that's the prettiest pink clam." We're going to use the word clam because, we want to keep it as decent as possible. I want to make a disclaimer as I go forward in this video that I know some of the stories that I tell are vile and somewhat offensive, rude, disgusting. You can use all kind of terminology, and I wouldn't disagree with you when you're trying to explain what I'm explaining to you or the story that I'm telling. But if I'm going to deliver the truth about prison, then I have to be able to tell the truth, right? As raw and uncut as possible with getting my point across so that you can put yourself inside that place and try to visualize exactly what's going on. And so you have a good understanding on what is and isn't going on inside the prison system. So, that's just the way it is. Anyway, Al says that's the prettiest, pinkest clam that he's ever seen. And he asked Jim, "Wouldn't you agree?" And Jim's like, "Nah, man, I ain't gonna agree with that, bruh." He says, "Say, bruh, you know what? Man, that thing is like it's uncooked." And Al said, "Man, I like to eat mine uncooked." And then Jim says, "Oh, man, that's disgusting, man. See, that's why white people so dirty and foul, bruh. Y'all white people, y'all eat raw chicken, man." And he said, "Man, y'all overcook y'all chicken. Let me see that magazine." And Jim held the magazine up and he looked at it, and there's a black woman, you know, and the black woman obviously took the pictures for the magazine, so she made money off it. So both the black woman and the white woman, this is just my opinion now, they both degraded themselves to take photos for these magazines. So when anybody talks about them, that's on them. They shouldn't have put themselves in the magazines in the first place. So we can't feel bad for them people talking negatively about either one of them. So the black dude looks at the white dude. He says, man, that's how it's supposed to look. That's how a clam's supposed to look, man. That thing there is so beautiful. And so they went back and forth with each other, speaking negatively about each other's women and saying why a black woman is better than a white woman or why a white woman is better than a black woman. But they wasn't just talking about women. They were talking about them in a sexual manner as if they were only objects, but they were down on each other. And he said, man, say by sisters, man, they so pretty, man. And they literally were going through these magazines looking at the black and white women from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet. They were comparing their hair. And so the white dude tells the black dude, he said, man, look at that hair, man. That hair, it's all knotted up. He told him, he said it's knotted up and it's tangly. You know what I mean? And it stank probably, huh? And the black dude said, whose name is Jim. Jim says, oh man, look at that white, look at that snow bunny, man. She got that stringy dog hair. And I'm sitting there like, man, these dudes, and then one of them, they're not mad with each other. They just both trying to defend each other's case. And so they just, you know what I mean, bashing these women. So Jim says that the white woman's hair looks like a stringy dog, and that, you know, that pink clam smell like a wet dog. And, you know, Al, he says the black woman is all tangly and knotty and stanky. And I'm thinking to myself, well, man, this is this is crazy. And so Jim looks at Al. He says, say, Al, I ain't gonna lie to you, bruh. I done had me a couple snow bunnies in my time, bruh. You know, it's all good, man. Y'all snow bunnies love this, and he's mentioning his private part between his leg. You know what I mean? He's calling it names. He says, you know, them snow bunnies love this here long snake. And Al's like, and Al's looking at him. He's like, yeah, some of them like messing with y'all, talking about black people, black dudes. And Jim said, what you gonna do with that, man? Your snow bunnies don't want to be with y'all. They want to be with us brothers. And Al said, we don't want them anyway. And Jim said, y'all don't want them? He said, nah, not once they with you, we don't want them. And so these dudes are literally talking like this back and forth to each other. And like I said, it's not violent. It's not mad. Neither dude is angry. Neither dude is fussing. They both kind of laughing a little bit. You know what I mean? And so Jim asked Al, he said, now be honest, Al, you ever had you a sister? And Al's like, nah, I ain't never had no sister. He said, I ain't never been with no black woman. And Jim like, come on, Al, bro, what you doing, bro? He's like, and Al's like, man, they got so many fine white women out there, man. I wouldn't even think twice about being with no black woman, man. That ain't for me. You know what I mean? And then Jim's like, oh man, I've been knowing you, man, since back in the pen, man, which is Angola, you know. Man, you mean to tell me, man, all them years we done, you ain't got out and you wasn't curious, man, what it was to be with a sister? And Al's like, nah, man, I don't know what it is to be no sister, man. I got out, man, there was too many white women, and white women were taking all my money and my dope. And I'm like, man, these dudes are crazy, man. So anyway, he finally gets Al to admit, he says, now come on, Al, bro, be honest with me. If you get out this time, you're gonna get you a black woman, man. Come on, Al, be honest with me. And Al started looking, and Al said, give me that magazine. And Al looks at the magazine, and he's kind of like, And Al says, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. He said, if I get out this time, he said, I'll get me a black. He said, right now, I'll take anything I can get. And then Jim starts laughing. I knew it, Al. I knew you like some black clam, you know. And they going back and forth. And I'm like, these dudes are laughing after they just negatively spoke about each other's women's, you know what I mean, race to each other. And now they laughing. And so they wind up trading magazines, right? So Jim took the white shop book and Al took the black shop book. And he said, man, yeah, he said, we're going to switch up. He said, yeah, we're going to switch up. So when they switch up and take the shop book, that basically means they're going to go to the back stall. And you know what they're going to do with it after they look at it. They're going to lust after it. And that's a whole nother story. It's called prison sex. And so whatever you do, because, you know, people got to do what they got to do to relieve themselves. So they trade the magazines after all the talking back and forth, and they made a switch. And after they thought they were defending each other's women's honor, you know, they wound up trading the shop books anyway and going their way. And these dudes would trade coffee and cigarettes too, because something about all them old convicts from Angola back then, they all smoked cigarettes and drank that coffee and had shop books. You know, like I said, I'm back in prison in the 90s and shop books were everywhere. But that was the crazy story. Probably one of the most racist conversations I ever heard in my life, where two dudes weren't mad, but they were intentionally being racist toward each other. But like I said, neither one got mad. They didn't fight. They were still cool after it was over with. But like I said, they had understood each other. And both of these were old convicts who were about it. They probably both had shanked a handful of people in their time back in Angola. So I guess they knew each other and it just wasn't worth, you know what I mean? I mean, dudes wasn't going to, shank each other at this point in their life over, one talking about the other one's women, inside their race. So they chalked it up and, that was it. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if I would ever be comfortable with having such a conversation with somebody, because that conversation sounds so crazy. Now, keep in mind, in Louisiana, there's a lot more black convicts and inmates than there is white. That's just the population difference. But you hear the term snow bunny all the time. So you definitely hear derogatory terms about all ethnic women inside prison. But at the end of the day, any of them dudes will take any woman they can get. Y'all saw the Boondocks, right? When the booty warrior came inside the prison and the Boondocks was there and they were there and they were negotiating and they were like, what y'all want for negotiation? You have to go back and look at the Boondocks. They say women, white women, black women, white women, black women, any kind of women, Spanish women, Asian women. And so that's just the way they said it. But anyway, man, if you thought this was entertaining or if it offended you, share in the comments that you offended. But I can't help the conversation that I heard and that I shared with you. And believe me, I toned it down a lot. The conversation was much more brutal and much more crazy than what I just said. You can imagine, use your imagination. You know what they were using. The words that they were using against each other was rough. And I toned it down for YouTube. But give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and the Shank, man, where I have a bunch of unusual and unique topics, crime and prison related, that I talk to. And go check my videos out. Let's get it.